Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host,
Gab.
And today we are talking about a more recent movie than we usually do, and one
Yep.
that was not even theatrically released. We're talking about 2021's The Mitchells versus the Machines.
We are. And Dylan, I had not heard of this movie even a little bit prior to you decide. Well, I guess you let me decide, but
I gave you four choices of movies, yeah, and you picked this, which I think was probably the safest choice. I think I
yeah.
gave you some random ones, including, which I will get to someday, The Fly, but we did not do that. Gab, can you tell me, what is The Mitchells versus the Machines about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Explain!
As you would a child.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
The Mitchells versus the Machines is about a family who are a little bit dysfunctional, and specifically a father-daughter relationship that's a bit dysfunctional. And the story is about the daughter, Katie, going to college and the road trip that they take to bring her to college and the way that the world is taken over by robots during the trip. Sorry, I botched that.
Honestly, I don't think you're that far off. The IMDb plot summary is a quirky, dysfunctional family's road trip is upended when they find themselves in the middle of the robot apocalypse and suddenly become humanity's unlikeliest last hope.
Oh, I did. That wasn't terrible.
Yeah, not far.
Cool.
We have only one tagline.
Oh,
Prepare to get weird because the world depends on it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, really quickly, I want to go back to talking about the choices that you gave me because I do think it's worth noting that historically, I'm not a huge animated film person. Your batting average with animated movies is pretty low at this point, but the other choices that you gave me were so abysmal that I decided to take my chances.
Abysmal. Okay, that's very kind of you to say. You say they were abysmal. Did you know any of the movies besides The Fly? Which I'll read the text that I sent to Gab. It's just Fast Times, Enemy Mine, The Fly, The Mitchells versus the Machines. Pick one. And you just said machines.
I went with the machines. Not only did I want that movie, but I also decided right then and there that I was siding with the machines, which is a much better way to watch that movie, by the way. So I ended up obviously I'm familiar with Fast Times. I'm familiar with The Fly. I Googled Enemy Mine and the poster of it. I was like, no.
I didn't realize, quite frankly, I didn't even think you put that much thought into it. I thought you just saw the four and just texted me back.
Nope. I looked and I wanted to know what Enemy Mine was because if it was like some Spielberg film, I probably would have been like, okay, sure. But it looked like Galaxy Quest, but with less character.
It's not like Galaxy Quest because it is not funny.
Was Galaxy Quest funny?
It's meant to be.
Oh, well, okay. Broken clock, right?
Poor Kyle.
So, okay. I typically don't love, for whatever reason, a reason that I don't even think we've really fully determined yet, but I don't typically love animated films. But I decided to take a chance on this, mainly because the cast was pretty stacked.
I do think I didn't remember how good of a cast it is until I was looking it up on IMDb. I'll also say, I guess it's true that I know I've suggested probably most of the animated movies. Have you suggested any animated movies that we've done? There's got to be one or two in there, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Oh, we've done so many movies still.
I also was worried. The one person, there's one member of this cast I was worried about for you. Do you have any idea who it was?
Yeah. The guy I think is disgusting.
Yes, Danny McBride.
Danny McBride, yes.
I was like, maybe she wouldn't even realize it's him, but I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I guess, should we get into a little bit deeper about what happens over the course of the movie?
Yeah, I think you should explain and just give a bare bones, reading of, sorry,
Okay.
End of sentence.
We are introduced to the Mitchells, Katie, who is the daughter, her brother Aaron, and their parents Rick and Linda, with, of course, their adorable dog, the King of Kings, Monchi. Monchi is great. And we see that Katie is obviously very unique. She's everybody who grew up as a very specific niche nerd can relate to her in some way. If you had something that you were fully devoted to that you felt like your parents didn't understand or people didn't understand, you were always looking for that community. She's very much easy to relate to, I think. And as she's about to go to school, She and her father have never been further apart. He's very much salt of the earth. I think we find out his dream was to just live in basically a cabin in the woods, which I'm sure we'll get into more later. And it's really just about the whole family trying to have one last real bonding moment together. And as they are trying to do that, which is by Rick all of a sudden deciding that they're going to road trip from, I believe they're in Michigan to California. And while they are doing that, PAL, which is a stand in for, I guess I would say like an Apple type company, ends up starting the machine uprising, and robots take over and are capturing all the humans. And the only people who can stop them are Katie, Aaron, Rick, Linda, and of course Manchi, who was very integral to all of this.
Yes.
Shockingly. And basically we follow them as, spoiler, we watch them first go to a mall because they think they'll just be able to stop at any old PAL store, which would have been too nice because they obviously get stopped in a scene in which I think you and I will discuss more, which I really did picture you as that scene was going on. But by the end, they have to go to Silicon Valley, to where the headquarters of PAL is, and directly upload it and destroy the machines. Which Beautiful. They don't directly upload it, but they defeat the villain.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a really, really wonderful way of summarizing the movie.
Thank you. So, should we get to our opinions on things?
I'm itching.
In this critic's opinion,
that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
Gab, please stop scratching, and let's discuss our opinions. So, I would say first, the moment the movie that like already has me wrapped up is when we first are introduced to the sequence of films that Katie has made called Dog Cop.
Yes. Yeah, I really appreciated Dog Cop.
Yes, I love Dog Cop. I love Manchi. I feel like sometimes it's very easy to just throw in an animal into an animated movie, into an actual movie, and just like have it be this cute thing. And yep, it worked on me.
Yeah.
It worked on me well.
I agree. I think for me, I was engaged in this movie from the very beginning because even though it is an animated film, it has a lot of the same qualities that really drew me into Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where it's very fast moving and there's a lot of like cuts and a lot of vibrant colors, and like it just is so enthralling, almost in like a Into the Spider-Verse way, but more Scott Pilgrim, if that makes sense.
I mean, it shares producers with Into the Spider-Verse, so I think that makes sense also to hear you say that. And they use some of the same technology that was used for Spider-Verse, but they had to obviously change it around just based on how radically different the styles are.
Yeah.
I think what's nice too is it's animated, but the humans are treated very realistically. It's not cartoony in the sense of like they can jump 20 feet in the air. No, their bodies move in a very realistic manner.
Yeah.
Something else I think is really nice. I think Aaron and Katie have such a nice relationship, and it's very easy to typically have, I think of a lot of cartoons or sitcoms have siblings who hate each other and are always going against each other. And I don't think we ever see that from Aaron and Katie. They are constantly in support of each other, except for maybe one or two moments where they're like, I wish you hadn't have done that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they have a great relationship. And I think later on, I want to discuss a little bit of how they like round out these characters and a lot of the qualities that they have that are maybe a little different from like your typical, okay, we're just like this all-American family, which I think is really cool. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about as it pertains to this is, I'm watching this movie and obviously we've talked already about like the relationship between Katie and her father, the relationship between Katie and her brother. I think they at some point discussed that the mom is like a kindergarten teacher. So she's very like happy, smiley, try to make everybody happy, whatever. And it really made me think like every family realistically is like dysfunctional to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, I think we watch movies and we expect the family to be like perfect, like mom and dad. And, maybe there's like an argument between two people or someone rubs someone the wrong way. But for the most part, it's like they look back on their family trips with like lots of, happiness and fond memories. And this family like doesn't have that. They're far more realistic because I don't know about you, but when I think back to like my childhood and like family vacations and stuff, like that's I typically most of the memories that I have are like, oh yeah, that was fucking crazy. Like that wasn't fun. Nobody had fun.
I think mostly that's true. You'll have memories that are nice and like, oh yeah, we all went through that together. But a lot of the time it turns out the thing that you thought was going to be nice wasn't nice. Like I can remember we were in a hotel room and my dad was like, what is that? A raisin? And it was a tick. And instead of doing anything, he just threw it up in the air. And I think Zach slept in upright in a chair with his knees pressed against the floor because he was so freaked out by it. I think I was the only one who was just like, oh well, gotta sleep. Uh, you know, I can remember we went to Cape Cod when we were kids, and the dog, we always brought the dog with us. It was Pony, I think, and we didn't think about like the driveway was made up of like seashells and stuff. And he got up the driveway, and his paws were just cut to shreds, and he was like, I'm bleeding pretty bad, but I'm glad we're all together." You know what I mean? Like it's always like you have in your head this picture of everything is going to go perfectly and everyone's going to have a great time. And instead, it's 30 minutes in, somebody's got to pee, and you're all frustrated from being sealed in a box together. Yeah. You know, meanwhile, you're picturing every other family. And I think that's what it is every family is dysfunctional in some way, but you never assume the family next door is.
Right. And I think that's what I was trying to say, because they do have a family, right? That they, at least the mother, envies.
The Posies, yes.
The Posies, and they seem to be perfect and they have everything under control. And obviously the Posies would like you to believe that, right? And who knows what's really going on behind closed doors. But it does kind of make you think like, oh, I guess everybody has, you know, this kind of family dynamic to a degree.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the robot apocalypse. We're just talking about like that thematically is such an instantly relatable thing because everyone has a family and everyone's family is fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Now, before we get into the robot uprising, which is obviously critical to the movie, are you familiar with what's going on right now with the friend necklace thing? Have you heard about this?
I have no idea what you're talking about. No.
Okay. So this company, the reason that I'm so familiar with it is because this company spent $200 million, which is the most amount of money any company has ever spent, to advertise in the New York City subway system. So every time I go to work,
okay,
every
yes,
time I
I've
go to
seen
the
like
gym,
the subway posters of this.
yes, there are ads literally in every station, everywhere, on the train, on the platform. It's crazy. I've never seen so many ads for one thing.
What is
And
it?
it's a necklace, and it's called Friend. And it almost looks like one little pearl. It's like a circle. And what this thing does is it records and monitors your day to day. So it hears what you say, it sees the people you're interacting with, so that it can talk to you about your day. And it can be like, you were right when you said this, or like, I can't believe so and so did this. And like, it gets to know you and it gets to know other people. But when you sign up for it, you waive your right to a trial by jury for anything that is recorded on here. Other people who talk to you are unwitting victims of like being recorded. If you do anything illegal, it's like not its fault if it captures you. I'm gonna have to pull this up. It is, I'm butchering it, unfortunately, and people are gonna come at me for this, but I will read you what
It
it
does
says.
sound like a legal quagmire of all kinds, because what if you are walking into something that, you know, is private that you're not supposed to be seeing, where you signed an NDA or something like that, you know, or God forbid you're in an intimate moment and you don't take off your necklace, you now have technically, you know, what is it, revenge porn and all that kind of stuff. You know, I mean,
Right.
there's definitely skirting the lines of you're not allowed. I don't know. Also,
Are you
it's
ready?
just very Big Brother-ish, but go on.
Yes. So the terms, arbitration acknowledgement. By checking this box, I acknowledge that I waive my right to jury trials, class action lawsuits, and court proceedings. Next, by checking this box, I agree to resolve disputes through individual arbitration in San Francisco. Next, biometric data consent. By checking this box, I consent to A, passive recordings of my surroundings, both video and audio. B, collection of biometric data, facial and voice recognition. And C, AI training using my data. And then finally, there's a little portion of the terms that says, By using the services, you understand that the device is passively recording your surroundings, including video and audio content that may contain personal information that is inappropriate, illegal, or unethical to collect. Privacy and video surveillance laws in your jurisdiction may apply to your use of our products and services. You are solely responsible for ensuring that you comply with all applicable laws when you use our products or services. Capturing, recording, or sharing video or audio content that involves other people, or capturing other people's facial feature information may unlawfully affect their privacy rights. Friend will endeavor to filter inappropriate content out of its data collection, but you agree that Friend will not be held liable in any civil or criminal legal action that may arise from the content collected from the monitoring and recording.
So there's no benefit to this. It just seems like you may be legally responsible for the shit you record.
And it's literally so that you can talk, like an AI thing can like talk to you about your day.
But then just talk to ChatGPT and it'll tell you you're right anyway. Or just go fully insane and talk to yourself.
Just get a fucking friend. It is so mind-blowing. And I know people who talk to ChatGPT like it's their therapist. I know people who
Which
upload
is really
photos.
disturbing.
Yes. I know people who upload photos of themselves to ChatGPT and go, "Do I look fat in this?"
I don't know. The whole thing really disturbs me. And I've had many conversations with ChatGPT and they also think it's disturbing.
Really? It's
No,
I was like, interesting. So anyway, that was kind of on my mind during this whole thing, but it's fucking crazy.
At least, when they present the robots in this movie, I was like, would giving my cell phone legs and arms make it that much better? And then he immediately has it like cleaned up after him and cooking breakfast. And I'm like, no, that seems pretty tight. Like, I was like, okay,
yeah,
I get it.
Now I think we can talk about the machine part.
Which I do really appreciate aesthetically how different the world of the Mitchells is versus once we're in the world of the machines. You know what I mean? As things get more and more machine, how they're more unnaturally colored and much more geometrically shaped. And like everything with the Mitchells is much more earthy or warm in a sense of realistic, I guess. Whereas, the machines, what was it? The rhombus of infinite subjugation and stuff like that, where it's like, what is this? This isn't real.
Yeah. I did really like when they were talking about their plan to take over the world, and it was like, quote unquote, artist rendering of what the world will look like. And there were like toasters jumping through the grass.
Yes, I forgot about that. That it's, the machine's ideal world. I love that also the airline commercial equivalent that they have where it's the machine. I'm trying to remember what it is exactly that they say, where they're telling them to get ready for their journey. Because what the machines do is, what would you say? They capture people up into these cubes.
Yeah.
And eventually they are going to launch all of these cubes into space. And you know how when you're on a plane, they do that commercial that says, thank you for joining American Airlines. There's exits on the left and right side above the wing. And their version is these rockets will be outfitted with 0 exits. Your flight will last forever. And your final destination is the black void of distant space. But we also have free Wi-Fi. And I do love the couple people who are like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I did like that at one point the way they were going to capture the humans was to turn off the Wi-Fi, and by turning off like the global Wi-Fi, the entire civilization collapsed.
Yeah, the one that stands out to me is the person going, "Will you take pictures of my food? Will you take pictures of my food?" Yeah. And the guy who wants to who is actually one of the directors of the movie who goes, "The old world is dead. We must make a sacrifice to the router."
Yes.
As much as I do find this movie funny, I think rewatching it, like I remember it being funny. I didn't remember how heartfelt it is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring up what to me is such a wonderful piece of symbolism in this movie, which is the little wooden moose. Which is introduced, I don't know, Gab, would you say within the first 10 minutes?
Probably the first 20.
We see before Katie is going away, she has boxes, to travel with, and she has a box marked giveaway. And on the top of the giveaway box is this little wooden moose, which seems to fit much more with her dad's aesthetic. We see him looking at it in the giveaway box and we see him upset by it. And it isn't until like much later in the movie that I feel like that comes back at all.
Yeah.
And it's this realization, Rick isn't a bad parent, but what he is overly protective in the sense of he doesn't want to support her dreams of becoming a filmmaker or anything like that because he's worried she'll fail and he's worried that she'll be hurt from failing. And I think we realize eventually that is personal to him because He wanted to build this cabin in the woods and live his life out in this cabin in the woods. And he did it, but he had to leave it because he and Linda ended up having children, and you can't raise your child in a cabin in the woods apart from society.
Yeah.
So we see that the little moose was the top of one of the banisters to the stairway that goes into this house, this cabin. And when he takes it off, even though it is also like the symbol of failure for him, he keeps it, and he keeps it on top of his car. Well, inside his car on the dashboard. And it is reintroduced to us. Before we get any of that backstory, we see young Katie going to her first day of school or camp. Summer camp. And she's crying. And Rick thinks of something, and he goes and he grabs it, and he hands her the little wooden moose from the car. And she says that this is his favorite thing. And he gives it to her. And it's such a sweet moment where he's cheering her up. And it's, perfectly symbolic of so many things in this movie. It is symbolic of dreams. It is symbolic in some ways of the failure that he is afraid of, and he passes that along to her, that fear. And eventually, I think once Katie realizes the importance of it, that she realizes how meaningful it is, it just beautifully is wrapped up when they reintroduce it in that scene, and they reintroduce how it was from his dream. And I think it's reintroduced at the very end. She's seeing where it comes from after she and them have failed to stop the machines. And Rick and Linda do get captured at some point. That she finds out how important it was. And I don't even remember if she still has it. Is it still in the backpack? Yes, because she's going to give Aaron a snack. And instead of a snack, she finds that. And I think it just really, like, the moose as a symbol brought me to tears every time they brought it up in the second half of the movie, because you were just realizing more and more how important it was to Rick and to Katie, which isn't to diminish Linda and Aaron as characters, but Rick and Katie are like the relationship of this movie. It is them coming to understand each other, them coming to understand that I may not understand everything you're into, but I, want to support you. I want to be there for you. And that's, really the crux of them figuring each other out. And I think we see at the very end that once Katie does get to go to college, when they stop the apocalypse, it's one of the things she has in her room, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's just like this perfect fucking thing.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. And I think the unveiling of the meaning of it happened so beautifully over the course of the movie that it didn't lose its appeal, because it was like, okay, yeah, we get it. It was like, oh, this is interesting. And then, oh, that's the thing from the first scene. And then, oh, this is really actually really important to him. And then, oh my God, now she see, as opposed to all of that happening in one moment and it being emotional, but then kind of having come and gone.
It is very subtly integrated throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
I also think for somebody who I don't normally think of as dramatically strong, and I know who I was saying that I was worried that you would hate, I think Danny McBride is wonderful in this movie.
Literally, as soon as the movie was over, I was like, this is just Dylan's campaign to get me to like Danny McBride.
Doesn't it feel like you're like, I was wrong about you?
Well, I think anybody can, play a character of not a dirtbag, but it's like, how come every other role you play, you're a dirtbag? But he did do a phenomenal job. I think everybody, Maya Rudolph, amazing. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, fabulous.
Yes, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen are the perfect neighbors, the Posies.
Yeah. And I love how at the end, when they save the world, the wife is like, Linda, I am going to do you the great honor of following you on Instagram. And she's like, you don't follow me?
Yeah, because we see the whole time that Linda is like obsessed with the Posies Instagram. Yes.
Yes. I thought that was so funny and so real. I think this is such a heartwarming story, and I feel like it can be heartwarming in so many ways, right? You've got this beautiful brother-sister relationship. You have this tumultuous father-daughter relationship. Corey and I did that to each other today.
The little raptor bash, I think it's
yeah. There is the relationship of, the whole family, and the relationship of, feeling included in some way, or being heard or seen or having community.
Finding your people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just, I think something that really interests me about this movie was this concept of like, yes, Katie wants to go to school. She wants to be a filmmaker. She wants to be around these people who are similar to her. I remember that longing so much, right? Like just being like, I can't wait to get the fuck away from you people and to go hang out with these people who are cool and like me and whatever. But the movie sort of poses this question of like, if all of that went away, right? If, and I say this all the time in the context of social media, like if Instagram went away, what matters to you? Right? Like who do you have? What do you have? And I think that's not a question that gets thrown around very much in movies that are like mostly geared toward young people.
Sometimes it's a question that's thrust upon us in our personal lives.
Some of us.
Um, you know what though? To pull back and go a little bit lighter, the scene that made me think of you the most with this movie. How much did you love when they're at the mall and
the Furbies?
All the pal chip devices. First, it's like toasters, which I think it's cute. The little toaster that says "your toast," and they're getting attacked by toasters and washing machines and dryers and refrigerators, and the Roombas attempt to, but they fall down the escalator. And then all of a sudden, they hide in a toy store, and the Furbies come out. And I love that the Furbies can't actually talk, just like real Furbies, but we get subtitles for the Furbies as they're just wow. And then once they defeat the Furbies, you get the world's largest Furby, which is equipped for some reason with a mouth laser beam. And it's just delightful. Them trying to escape and defeat the Furbies.
I looked at Corey and I said, this is going to be like a 7-minute segment on the podcast because, oh my God, did we have a similar battle with the Furbies?
Which I know we've talked about before, but I can't ever think of a Furby without thinking about my father murdering a Furby with a baseball bat.
A baseball bat.
And me, Zach and my dad were in the backyard murdering this Furby while I watched behind the windows in the living room like, no! They just bash these Furbies to death. And it said, wahoo, dahoo, dahoo, wah, wah, dahoo, ha.
It was the only way to get rid of them, honestly.
They had to be put down. They couldn't stop.
You would take the batteries out and it would still make noise.
Did they have sentience, Kev? Did we kill these things?
I just have memories of like taking the battery out and it still being like, like you're just like,
oh God, the death rattle of the Furby.
Yes. Oh God. I did really love that. And I actually thought to myself, like, how much money did they have to pay to be able to use Furbies exclusive, like to call it a Furby and use the likeness and the voice and everything? Because it was spot on.
It's a good question because it isn't like it is clearly not. It's not a Warby or a Burby. Like it is exactly a Furby in look and name.
And yeah, they call it that.
Yeah, I don't know if. I wonder, like, the movie's made by Sony. I wonder if Sony technically, I don't know who owns the right to Furbies now. You know what I mean?
Mattel? No,
I don't know.
Are
you just guessing?
Yeah, I feel like it's Mattel.
Yeah, you're like, they're the big toy people.
Owns Furby. Oh, Furby with a Y. Interesting.
Hasbro owns Furby.
Tiger. Oh, Hasbro. Yeah. Okay, I was close.
Which I think at one point I saw there were some deleted scenes where it looks like they almost also had as like a semi-villain, a Tickle Me Elmo, which would slowly become more and more destroyed over the course of the movie, it looked like.
Yeah.
I think it's for the best that I love the giant Furby, and I like that it's a contained sequence. This movie does a really good job of if it were a live action movie, I think you would do it the same way because it's mostly like very much about the characters, but every couple minutes or so, couple scenes, you get a pretty good set piece.
Yeah.
Which I do like the very first set piece when the robots first come and who likes fun? And the guy goes, I do. I like fun. Everybody says I like fun. Like the first guy is just the dumbest person who would be the first captured.
Yeah.
There's not a good enough reason for it, but I think I excuse it because of everything else that when the robots first come, Katie manages to control one of these robot arms. She manages to defeat the robots by dropping a giant dinosaur. They're at a dinosaur themed gas station because Aaron loves dinosaurs. And for some reason, it makes the two robots malfunction, and they are now, when they reboot, they're fans of the Mitchells, so they join the family. I don't think it gives you a great reason for that, but I think you sort of don't care because you're just along for the ride. Like if that's the biggest critique anyone ever has about this movie, I'd say it's doing pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what their names are. Oh, Eric and Deborah Bot 5000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think are pretty cute throughout the movie. I think they're there for little bits. I think if they did anything more with them, they'd be too much, but I think it's the right amount.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the things that they had to say were very funny. They were great comic relief. And again, it's like the voice cast is just so good because the two robots were
The actors, it's Beck
yeah.
Bennett, is that his name?
Yep, Beck
And
Bennett.
Fred Armisen.
Yes. It's just like god damn. So
Who
good.
was it? I want to talk about a couple lines too from Danny McBride that I also like. First, his response to, I know this is hard for you when they're leaving the cabin, him saying, nah, it's easy, which is three words, but delivered so well. And maybe it's also just in combination with the music and everything else that it's just chef's kiss beautiful.
Hmm.
Two, it's him going, it's so nice to see all your faces bathed in ghoulish blue light and requesting the 10 seconds of uninterrupted eye contact. Greatly
So
done.
funny.
Him destroying their cell phones and going, trust me, this causes me no joy, as he's just stomping on them. And the one other line that stood out to me this time is him going, they're deciding that rather than try and save the world, they're going to give up. They're going to survive at the dino stop and they're going to barricade themselves in there. It's him saying to Aaron, son, I love the dog. You love the dog. We all love the dog, but you're going to have to be prepared to eat the dog. And the room turns on him, but it's just the survivalist instinct that he's like, we got to do what we have to do to survive.
So funny. I also really love at one point in the very beginning of the movie, Katie is explaining to us that her mom really believes that anybody can be fixed, or her line is like, I know you can do it. And the dog, who is obviously a pug, its eyes are going in two different directions, right? And she's trying to use a pencil and bringing it close to the nose to have the dog focus, like, keep your eyes straight. And that is something that comes back every so often when the dog needs to catch something and you see him really try to bring his two eyes forward. It's so funny.
I love Manchi so much. And Manchi, one of my favorite things about this whole movie is them talking about if we save the world. First, Rick says we'll go to the taco place down the street. And they're like, yeah. Then Linda goes, oh, no, can't we go to a fancy buffet? And they're like, yeah. And then Aaron adds, and we can get a little tuxedo for Manchi, like a little gentleman. It's just the term, like a little gentleman, that he says multiple times that I think is fucking adorable.
It's
And you
so
know
cute.
what? At the end of this goddamn movie, Katie sends a care package from college. And you know what it is, Gab? I know you do.
A little tuxedo.
So Manchi can look like a little gentleman.
It is so sweet. I also love that part of the way that they get the robots to what's the word I'm looking for, to malfunction, is by showing the robots Manchi, because they can't decide if it's a dog, a pig, or a loaf of bread, and it like short circuits
Yes.
them.
They are unable to scan and determine if it's a dog, pig, or loaf of bread until you get to the most advanced of the PAL robots. Only then can they figure out, like, we can identify dog, pig, loaf of bread. Another Danny McBride line I like. Aaron goes, Dad, if you see a place, I do need the bathroom. And Danny McBride, it's while they're in the middle of a car chase, goes, Aaron, here's a bottle. You know what to do, my man. Like, which does just feel like a real, like, dad on a road trip. Like, we're not stopping.
Yes. Yeah. And then eventually they do use a bathroom. They're like guarding this porta potty for their lives. And he comes out and he's like, false alarm. I was just in there reading.
Yeah. The final line that I have from Danny McBride that I think is really sums up what the movie is about. We're here because we don't think like normal people. We don't have a normal dog or a normal car or even a normal son. No offense, none taken. The Mitchells have always been weird, and that's what makes us great. And I think it's really a movie about accepting the weirdness around you in its beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best parts of this movie is seeing the family be able to work together and kind of each person contributing what their specialty is to the situation. So Rick being a survivalist and Katie being a very creative filmmaker and kind of being able to come up with these like storybook scenarios that end up actually working, right? Like the kill switch and whatever.
Or
You
Aaron with his
know,
pterodactyl vision.
exactly. Yep. And then at the end, Linda has this like incredible mom strength where she becomes this like warrior and is chopping robots because somebody fucked with her kid. And so she has this like innate power drawn from within.
As they refer to Aaron, my sweet boy. Yes.
Yes.
I know I already said it was the Last Rachel line, and it's not really about him that makes this good. They're pretending to be robots to infiltrate Pal Labs, and he goes, bleep blorp, I am a robot. And I don't know if it's Fred Armisen or Beck Bennett, but whichever one of them is, it cracks me up. Just to educate you, that is a hurtful stereotype.
Yes. I did
that
love
fucking
that.
got me good.
That is so funny. So when did you like watch this for the first time?
I think it was honestly, it's probably the year it came out, which is 2021. I think I just had a lot of time on my hands, and I just decided to like throw it on. I watched it by myself, and I remember being like, more people have to see this, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how watched it is now. I know it's nowhere near the top 10 of like Netflix's most watched stuff anymore,
Mm.
but I do have some facts that I'll get to about how watched it was, which I think, I think the Netflix statistics can be misleading. It sounds like a lot of people did watch it, but I guess we'll find out whether or not that's true.
Yeah.
You random listener who has made it this far, did you watch Mitchell's versus the Machines?
Yeah, tell us. Side note, before we move on, last thing having nothing to do with the podcast, but a lot to do with robots and AI. Did you hear this Tilly Norwood stuff?
Yes, which I hate. The idea of this artificial intelligence actor.
Yeah. What the hell?
It just sounds like the person and company behind it, which is funny. I was just watching something about this. I think her name is like Eileen Vanderven or some Swedish sounding name. They just really, she was describing creatives and she was like, as a creative, you still have to come up with an idea, but now rather than waiting for the money and a crew and everything else, you can just make the movie by yourself. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what creative is. Like, creative
Yeah.
is these people all coming together to make this thing. It's not a person having an idea and putting together some sloppy piece of crap AI, which I've never watched anything AI and thought, wow, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so interesting, right? Like I went to its Instagram
Mhm.
and I was like, the uncanny valley. You know what I mean? Like it's like this doesn't seem real, but also you can tell that it's like not Chat GPT make me a picture of a girl, you know?
We get closer and closer and closer to it being indistinguishable, though, and it's really scary. If you're just looking at pictures, the pictures are indistinguishable. But it is when they do videos, like there's some sketch where it's supposed to be her on Graham Norton or something like that. And it's clearly not right. And I think the funny thing is, this all really became a thing too, because the creator of Tilly Norwood was also talking about, oh, well, we're going to, talk about which, which talent agency has booked her in a little bit. This woman also just happened to have started an AI talent agency. And I'm like, is this just a brilliant marketing ploy where we're all talking about it now? And the talent agency she's going to announce is her own talent agency?
Yeah.
That's the way this feels like it'll end up going. Either way, no, I don't think this is what people want at the end of the day. And we're just getting further and further into what? So that like 3 people can run Hollywood and be trillionaires and that everybody else can be poor and not afford to watch these AI slop movies?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's so interesting, right? Like I heard about this today and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy, right? And then I was like, well, we just watched this fully animated movie. And obviously there are real people behind it, real people doing the animation, real people's voices. Like it's not there. But I was kind of like, oh, like it's not that we've never had versions, like much, much, much less severe versions of this.
I think never to this extent where it's really replacing us as it looks like it is going towards now. I think the sad thing about a lot of these AI things is it's replacing the things that we want to do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
sure, that's a popular meme that it's like, I want AI to do my laundry and fix my car so that I can, write stories and watch things, not
Yeah.
have AI that watches things and writes my stories so that I can just work on my car.
Between that and the necklace and the robot movie, I'm like, oh God.
You're getting surrounded by a lot of it lately. Although I
Yeah.
do feel like even in this movie, I don't know, the villain is the AI, but it's also really telling us that like, well, it's not machines that are all bad either. Like machines help them at the end of the day too to defeat this uprising, and machines are useful just with how we have to be careful with how we treat them too. I suppose
Yeah.
I
Do
do
you
like
say please and thank you to ChatGPT?
absolutely fucking.
What?
I used to have an Alexa and I had it plugged in and I used it all the time. And I finally got to a point where I remember there was some announcement about how it could hear everything, blah, 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 blah. It was probably the 50th or 60th time they've made that announcement. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done. And you know what? I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. I'm very grateful to my actual cell phone where I type things in. These things do not need to hear and see every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, my cell phone is listening to everything I'm saying right now, I'm sure. Doesn't matter. All that to say, we should try and treat these things with a little more respect because I do love the way that Pal gives Eric Andre's character, Mark, the shit about pinch soon, pinch, 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 and the nachos being rubbed into the crevices. I don't know. All this to say, machines are not all good or all bad, but obviously we should be careful with how much power we give them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I do also like the moment of Pal's defeat where, you get this big hero moment of Katie jumping and chucking it down from what was it called? The rhombus of infinite subjugation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on the way down towards a pool. And the whole point is it's going to be destroyed, being thrown in the water, and it'll stop the uprising because she's controlling the whole thing. And it bounces off of a tent, not a tent, an umbrella next to the pool. And this is Manchi's hero moment where if he can uncross his eyes, he can catch the phone. And Manchi, god damn it, he does his best to straighten one eye, straighten the other. He does it, he jumps, and he does not catch it still, which I think is my favorite thing about it. Luckily, Pal bounces into a cup of water still, which defeats Pal, but poor Manchi, you king of kings.
He tried.
He tried.
He really did.
Manchi does feel like what Gab's dog as a child was Mocha, this little Pomeranian.
Yeah.
If you had made Mocha like 20 pounds heavier, Mocha could have been Manchi like.
Oh, yeah. Mocha was inbred as hell.
Pomeranians to me are just like these little fur balls that I'm like, it's crazy that you exist.
Truly.
Yeah. Although same thing with pugs, which pugs clearly like you shouldn't exist. I feel like is the lesson of all pugs. Like I think they can't even. What is it they can't do? They can't swim.
I don't know. I think they have a hard time drinking water because their face is so smushed in that like as they drink it, it like goes up their nose.
Oh my god. Can we talk about? I forgot about this too with the Posies. Do you remember the Posies have a dog too? And I think we only see it for a second though, where they go, even their dog's in better shape than ours. What are they feeding that thing? Other dogs?
Yes, it's like a pit bull it's doing push-ups. And
it's doing push-ups and it's got like a six-pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I'm out of opinions really. I think I'm scrambling for them. But all that to say is it's just pretty lovely the whole time, I think, for a movie that right underneath 2 hours, I would say.
Yeah.
Gab, does that mean that I should get to the time that I think it is?
I think it's time to get to the time that you think it is. I botched that. That could have been a really cool line. It's fine. Just get to the facts.
I'm just gonna leave that in and go to the facts then.
It's fine.
I want the truth! Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
On IMDb, it is a 7.6 out of 10. On the tomato meter, it has 97%, 205 fresh reviews, and 7 rotten, with an audience score of 89%. It was released on Netflix April 30th, 2021. It had a budget of $38 million. Now, we don't have box office information, but the movie was sold to Netflix by Sony for $100 million during COVID theater closures. For the first full week it was on Netflix from May 3rd to May 9th, it had 14 million hours watched, which means it was watched approximately 7.5 million times with an average ticket price of $10.17, according to the numbers.com, would make it a first week total of about $76 million if it had been in the theater and that many people saw it. I don't think that's accurate because it's very different, obviously, when you just click on something on Netflix than making the decision to go to the movies.
Yeah.
But that was me trying to scramble to do the math and make something box office numbers wise.
I think you did a good job.
Thank you. The critics' consensus, eye-catching and energetic, The Mitchells versus the Machines delivers a funny, feel-good story that the whole family can enjoy. Get to some reviews. Brian Tallarico from RogerEbert.com, threaded with clever commentary on our reliance on tech and featuring some incredibly strong design work, this is a pleasant surprise for families looking for something new this season. Ty Burr from the Boston Globe, there's a moral at the end, love your family and all its weirdness or something, and a dollop of sentiment that is contractually required for the genre, but it's the discreetly sharpened edges of The Mitchells versus the Machines that stick with you. Linda's jealousy toward her bland, Instagram perfect neighbors, voiced by legend and Chrissy Teigen, oh, the irony, and the jaundiced eye the filmmakers cast toward the machines that make the movie and everything else in our shiny modern lives possible. Who would think a tech company wouldn't have our best interests at heart? Linda wonders at one point. The sooner your kids learn that, the better. Susan Granger from SSG Syndicate, frenetic and fast-paced, it's become popular because of a massive marketing campaign, which I don't recall the massive marketing campaign of The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Me neither.
Eric Nielsen from the Film Stage, lacking a precise balance of amiable entertainment and intense thrills, the director and producers failed to rein in violent fantasies that spoil what could have been a heartfelt and clever romp exploring family dysfunction. Do you think this felt like it was violent fantasy too much?
No, what the hell?
In fact, I will say there's a little bit of violence against machines, but not a single human being is killed in this movie.
No, not even close.
This is a PG movie, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last review I have here, Bobby Lapierre from Film Threat. The Mitchells versus the Machines is a train wreck from beginning to end. This is the worst film of the year, which felt very bold to me.
Oh my God. I did not feel that way.
So, on a lighter note, let's get to some Letterboxd reviews. Susper Liam, I think Tarantino and Scorsese could learn a thing or two from future Best Director winner Katie Mitchell. Sabas, the Black Panther for people who have a Letterboxd account. Ben Hack, greatest Furby representation since Uncut Gems. This is so incredibly stupid, but stupid with copious merit. And last one from Silent Dawn, maybe a bit cringe with some of its humor. Some of the internet stuff already feels dated, but this is mostly a charming animated film with a nonstop, astonishing animation. Wish I could have seen this on the big screen. Gorgeous colors and a great sense of movement. Love the character designs too. I do think it would have been better if we could have seen it in the theater, but sadly that is not to be. The movie was directed by Michael Rianda and Jeff Rowe, who also directed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Gravity Falls. Do you need a minute?
No, my one AirPod died, so I plugged it. I put it back in the case, and then I took it out, and now I hear you on a slight echo.
Okay. Do you need a minute to figure that out? Okay. The screenplay was written by Michael Rianda and Jeff Rowe, who also wrote Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Gravity Falls. It stars Abby Jacobson as Katie and also as Dog Cop, who you may know from Broad City, Disenchantment, and the A League of Their Own television show. Danny McBride as Rick Mitchell, who you may know from The Righteous Gemstones, Eastbound and Down, and This Is the End. Maya Rudolph as Linda Mitchell, who you may know from Saturday Night Live, Bridesmaids, and Big Mouth. And director Michael Rianda as the voice of Aaron and the Furbies, and the guy who wants to sacrifice people to the Router, who you may also remember as Spider-Man therapist in Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know why. That was the one thing that was outside of these things that I could think of that I was like, well, that's kind of cool. He's the therapist who he's talking about Uncle Ben dying, and he goes, and how did that make you feel? You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he says, let me guess, he died. That's what it is. Also featuring Eric Andre as Mark, Olivia Colman, Oscar winner Olivia Colman as Pal, Fred Armisen as Deverbot 5000, Beck Bennett as Eric, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend as the Posies, Blake Griffin as Pal Max Prime, which was like the sleeker robots that could identify Monchi. Mm-hmm. Conan O'Brien as Glaxon 5000, which I had to look up which one was Glaxon 5000. It's the one who's doing the commercial for like the airline type thing.
Yes.
Jay Farrow as Noah, and last but certainly not least, Doug the Pug as Monchi.
Oh, how did they get Doug the Pug?
I don't know, but I love that they did.
That's sweet.
The movie was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, which it lost to Encanto. But at the Annie Awards, which are specifically to recognize excellence in animation, shown in American cinema and TV, it swept every category it was nominated in, including Best Animated Feature, Outstanding achievement for animated effects and animated feature, outstanding achievement for character design, outstanding achievement for directing, outstanding achievement for production design, outstanding achievement in writing, outstanding achievement in editing, and outstanding achievement for voice acting and animated feature for Abby Jacobson.
Wow, that is crazy.
Do you want to hear the few fun facts that I could get?
Please.
Well, first, just because my first fun fact addresses the end credits, how adorable are the end credits where we see all the people involved in the movie with their actual families?
I loved it.
Come on, like that's what a nice touch.
So sweet. I did think it was interesting. Most people showed photos of them as a child. Some people went with the adult route, and I was like, can't have any fun.
I don't know. I thought that was fair too, because there are some where it's like they're an adult, but they were showing their family still. Like Dan McBride specifically comes to mind where it's him and his kids, which I thought was nice.
Yeah. I feel sorry for his kids, but
oh my God, leave him alone.
No.
At around an hour and 46 minutes into the movie during the credits, there is an actual recipe for Linda's face cupcakes.
Cute.
When the movie was completed, the producers sent crew members statues of Monchi that said, "You guys are my people."
Aww.
Story consultant Alex Hirsch created the TV show Gravity Falls. Hirsch graduated from Cal Arts, the type of school Katie wants to attend. Netflix estimated that 53 million households watched the film in the first month of its appearance on the platform, which the Netflix numbers feel so untrustworthy because I feel like the latest thing Netflix puts out, they're always like, yeah, you want me to put that on the moment you fall asleep from the thing you're watching, right? I'm like, yeah, sure. We all meant to watch, the latest Brian Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot thing. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
During the scene where Pal is displaying the Mitchell's internet usage, one of Linda's emails is a complaint from the U Michigan Natural History Museum. The email says Aaron incited a protest among other children of their museum due to the accuracy of their Giants of the Jurassic exhibit and that he tried to glue feathers onto the dinosaurs.
Oh my God.
On the title screen, it actually says back to the original title. At one point, the title was changed by Sony to Connected, which Connected is a much worse title.
Yeah.
But when Netflix bought it, they changed it back to the original and director preferred title, The Mitchells versus the Machines. Now, also on the title screen, if you pause it, we have future movie ideas for The Mitchells versus, and it lists the alien invasion, the zombie apocalypse, the dinosaurs, ourselves or an army of clones, Santa Claus, Mecha Monchi, income inequality, the patriarchy, Monchi's expensive ear infection, the Spider-Verse, Into the Furbyverse, alternate Oops All Furbies, or all of the above, which I would love to watch any one of those. Hopefully not Monchi's expensive ear infection.
Yeah, but that is fucking hilarious. I love it.
Some of the films made by Katie in the Katie cinematic universe: Requiem for a Milkbone, Dogtown, Fear and Loathing in Central Michigan, Portrait of an Idiot on Fire, Munchie, Fear Eats the Soul, Good Cop, Dog Cop, Special Victims Unit, They Lived in the Jurassic Period, The Perks of Having Only One Friend, and It's Your Little Brother. Katie Mitchell is the human burrito. She's marinating, ... in existentialism. Good Cop, Dog Vengeance.
Amazing.
There's also a hidden message when Rick and Katie high five in the air, and you have to pause at the right moment to even see it and go frame by frame. It says, "Hey kids, don't ever wait for anyone to give you permission to make art. It'll be bad, but who cares? It's fun and you get better. Also, you can make movies about farting werewolves like Fart Werewolf 3, The Fattening. Don't steal. Love, Katie Mitchell."
Oh my God.
I thought that was so nice.
That is so nice.
Gab, sadly, that is all the fun facts I have. I wish I had more because I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I want more.
I don't have any more Mitchells versus Machines for you, but what I do have is some mail.
Mail time? When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
So, it is time for another episode, another installment of Canadian Court.
All right, lay it on me.
It's that time of the episode when the Canadian comes in just to give you his opinion even though you didn't ask for it. It's Canadian Court. I've lost track of how many times I've done this. The Nice Guys is an incredible movie. It is a perfect distillation of films from the 70s where you get two characters you don't necessarily love, but you want to see them succeed. The chemistry between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling is absolutely amazing. The fact that this movie did not birth a franchise is a crime. Also, it not being on the movies to watch before you die list. Gab, do you remember this movie? I don't know. You let us know on this week's mail.
I think he's badgering the witness.
I think it's deserved. Gab, do you remember this movie?
Yeah, Russell Crowe was overweight.
That's not the point. That's not the point. This feels like your Danny McBride stance, which is also unnecessary.
No,
I don't want to relitigate
no.
that, though. That's not what this is about. Even though we agreed by the end of this episode that maybe your feelings have changed on him. But
perhaps.
Nice
guys. So
guys.
yeah, I remember this movie. They were cops.
One of them is a private eye, and the other one is like an enforcer type of guy, a mercenary type of guy.
Yeah, I remember.
The witty back and forth and repartee. I honestly think whenever I see other buddy cop movies now, like movies where an odd couple comes together and they form something better, I think of The Nice Guys. I watched Wolves, which is about, Brad Pitt and George Clooney are both cleaners after like a crime has been committed or something like that. Like they're the guy you call in to make sure nobody ever finds out. And they meet each other. They both get called in for some reason. They're like, have to work together. And I just thought this was good, but they weren't like Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling good. You know what I mean? Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang. Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr., they're really good. Not Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling good.
What about Rush Hour?
Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, very good. Not quite the same tone as this. I don't know, man. I don't know. They're up there. They're in that same tier to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it. And like, I'm willing to watch it again if you really think I fucked up that badly, but I don't.
Can I just say, Gab, in the history of us doing these little, somebody messages in and we decide to reevaluate. So far, we've talked about several movies. One of them was yours. The rest have all been mine. The only one that we decided to change our minds upon and agree. Do you remember which one it was?
The Birdcage?
What a funny coincidence, Gab. I'm just saying, can I get a bit of fucking grace here? Doesn't have to be on this one. We'll just in the future.
But here's what I'm telling you is that I don't really remember. Like, I think maybe I'm the asshole, but if I watch a movie once and then immediately do a podcast with you about it and I don't love it, it evacuates the dance floor of my brain. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm willing to watch it again, but I'm not like, oh, yes, of course, I made a mistake. I don't remember.
Well, we shan't discuss my memory of the Birdcage then. I guess this case is dismissed for now. Let's adjourn the discussion and move on.
If we're going to reopen the case, then we have to rewatch the movie.
Gab, if you make me redo an entire fucking episode that I've already done, because I don't save my notes, Gab. I don't do that. And maybe I should. Maybe that's what this is the lesson here. Is Dylan, you should save your notes each time. But I don't do that.
You should do what I do. I don't even take notes.
I'm aware of that, Gab. You passenger princess of this fucking podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm doing all the work here. I'm driving 1,000 miles while you're going, can we stop at 7-Eleven?
Yeah, I gotta pee.
Here's a bottle, my man. You know what to do.
I remember that. I like that movie. Yeah, listen, I'm sorry. I don't know. I will tell you this. I'm willing, and I'm saying this live on the air, that is pre-recorded and edited heavily. I am willing to do a revisitation episode where we each pick one movie. I think if you watch The Birdcage and I don't watch it, and I watch The Nice Guys and you don't watch it, and we each only have one movie to watch, we could do a revisitation episode in 2 movies in 1 where we go back and it's do or die.
Perhaps for some milestone we shall do that. We can figure that out at a later time.
And if you choose The Nice Guys and not The Thing, I lose respect for you.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't going to say that. Because if there's one I can get back, it's not going to be The Nice Guys.
Yeah.
Although I do want The Nice Guys back, but it's not important.
Well, we can do it multiple times. I'm willing.
Yeah, I would like to request a recess because this is some bullshit.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to litigate anymore, okay? We can work this out. We can do this outside of court.
We're going to have some kind of settlement? What does that mean? You're going to make The Nice Guys half a movie before you die?
I don't know. I'm not a fucking lawyer, Dylan.
Well, let's get to our verdicts.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Gab, this is my movie, so I'm going to go first. I think The Mitchells versus the Machines it sneaks up on you with how good it is. I think at first it kind of feels like it could be almost any other movie that is, a silly family film. And I think every time I notice it, I realize how clever it is in its visuals, in its writing. At the same time, it's just delightful. If I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff, do I just have a fun time watching this movie? Of course I do. But I think when I add on top of that, things with the moose and stuff like that, and the fact that this movie, which is a silly robot apocalypse movie, also can pretty much bring me to tears, how can I not call it a movie to watch before you die? And what kind of monster would say it's not? Gab, what do you think?
Well, Dylan, thank you for teeing that up for me. So as I previously mentioned, this was a movie chosen based on how much I didn't want to watch the other movies. And I knew it was animated, and I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm probably not going to give a shit about this. But the voice cast had me thinking maybe this will be good. And so I did a little bit more research, and when I realized it was a Netflix movie, like a straight to Netflix movie, I thought, okay, this is definitely going to be bad. And I put off watching it, and I put off watching it, and I kept saying, like, I'll just watch it during the week, like, whatever. So finally, Corey and I both happened to have Tuesday night off, last night off. So he was like, let's do a movie night. We can watch the movie for the podcast, whatever. So we put it on, and I'm like, oh, God, this is like just shy of 2 hours. Like, I love a cool 90. This is going to be a little bit long. This is going to like take up my whole fucking night off. And so the movie had a lot stacked against it. Then, out of this man's mouth comes the voice of one Danny McBride, who I don't care for. And I was like, oh God, this character is going to be unlikable. Oh my God, this is so stupid. And like the pure fun of the visual component of this film kept me engaged the whole time. The laughter that I experienced watching it was so pure. Like it wasn't like, oh, like, haha. I was really laughing. I loved the characters. I loved the voice work. And I think as much as I was trying not to get emotional, it was very sentimental, and it did make me emotional, and I did have a few tears.
I was going to say, if you got emotional at fucking Freakier Friday, this better touch your heartstrings.
It did. It really did. And so, yeah, I see no other option but to call this a movie to watch before you die.
Even with all these things against it, straight to Netflix, animated, Danny McBride.
Yeah.
It is a
After
movie
the
to
movie
watch
was over, I literally said out loud, I can't believe I might like Danny McBride now.
What has this movie done to me?
Yeah. But
did
no,
Corey
it was
like
great.
it too?
He really did. We both loved it.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
I have showed you cinema.
Yes, you have. It was pure cinema. Really, really, really great. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And you know what's funny now that I think about it? Not watching the movie on Sunday automatically meant that I knew the Mets weren't going to make it to the wild card because I was like, oh, I'll be available Monday and Tuesday. So I'll just watch it then.
It's a shame, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but loved it. Dylan, fabulous movie. You really nailed it with this one. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. We did it.
I will disappoint you again in the future, I'm sure. But for now, I can feel good.
There we go.
Cam, you want to say the things we say at the end of these?
I do. So, listener, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for joining us. If you have a movie that you would like for us to talk about, or if you want to give your opinion on a movie we've already talked about, you can send us a voice note or an email to movies-to-watch-before-you-die@gmail.com. When you visit the link tree in the description below, you will find a link for our friends at the Podcasting Hall of Networks. Nope. The
Hall of Pods Podcasting Network. So close.
So close. You'll find links for our merch shop. You can find links for my Venmo, our Instagram accounts, all of the things. Go fishing. And finally, make art.
Bless you.
Sorry, I didn't mean for that one.
To end it. I feel like I have to leave the season.
Okay, fine.
Make art, Gesundheit. Bless you.
Oh, the cat is running away.
Left, right, left,
blorp,
right.
Bleep,
What?
Blorp,
What are you
bleep,
doing?
Blorp, bleep, blorp, bleep, blorp. I am a robot.
Just to educate you, that's a hurtful stereotype.